Two now of getting your tax questions answered here this afternoon. We've got Donovan Miller. He has been kind enough to stick around with us through the hour today. He's a certified public accountant and senior tax manager at Whitley Penn. Donovan, thanks for staying here in studio with us. It can be an intimidating time of year for people. They're getting those W-2s and 1099s and all of these things, and trying to stack them all up and make sense of them. And so we're trying to get to as many of these questions as we can here this afternoon. Let's start off with this viewer question in this half hour. I haven't filed a federal return since 2019, they say. How do I get back on track? I would imagine that may have something to do with whatever their individual circumstances are, right?
Right. Well, there's two things you want to look at. There's a 3-year statute with the IRS, and that works both ways. If they need to collect tax from you, but since in this case the return hasn't been filed, that statute is still running. So they really need to be thinking about, are they going to owe tax? Do they think they're going to owe tax? They might want to get those filed right away, because in the meantime, those interest and penalties are racking up as well. If they have a refund coming, they need to do it within that same 3-year statute. So they need to get those filed in order to receive those refunds.
Because that refund could start being eroded too, could it not, if you're not filing in time? Or does it go away completely?
It will go away completely if you miss that statute.
That's some incentive then. If they, real quickly, just branching off that question, if they haven't been filing because they, weren't meeting income thresholds or didn't need to file, can they go ahead and just start picking up this year again, or should they have to go back and address those years that they didn't file first?
If you didn't have a filing requirement in those years, you wouldn't necessarily have to go back.
Okay. A next question here, this one coming to us from a retired disabled veteran, asking, is there someone who can help with my taxes? What would you tell someone in that situation?
There's actually 2 really good programs. One of them is called VITA, it's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And the other one is through the AARP. They both will help people who generally have income of around $60,000 or less. If you're disabled, if English is not your primary language, you can find these sites at the IRS website. They have they'll have walk-in centers that some require appointments, some don't require appointments, and they will help you free of charge.
And again, one of those is the AARP, the other is VITA, VITA. What does that stand for again?
Volunteer Income Tax Assistance.
Okay, so if you'd like to look those up individually or through the IRS website, those may be some really good resources. Next, someone asks, am I able to deduct the taxes I paid for a car purchased in 2023? This is typically a deduction that people do take advantage of.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier the limit on taxes. On your Schedule A, if you're itemizing your deductions, then you are putting all taxes into that same bucket. So that can be your real estate taxes, sales tax, and you can do special taxes on specific items, and that can include a car, a boat, certain items that you bought during the year. You're still going to need to fall under that $10,000 limit. Yeah,
but you're looking at big purchases here that might help you out in those situations, and a car certainly falls into that category.
Correct. Yes.
Now, if you got an electric vehicle, that gets all kind of crazy because of the incentives that they put out. And last year, people buying those would get that credit to them. Now it can go straight to the dealer so that you don't have to deal with it. But if you had an electric vehicle, you definitely want to do some homework there, because you may have some benefit coming too, I would imagine.
Yes.
I think that, do we have another one? Good, because I have one. Oh yeah, we do have another one. What should a taxpayer do if they receive a notice from the IRS? I think that, if you get something like that, you don't even want to open the envelope, but you definitely should open the envelope, first of all. I can even give you that advice. But what do you do if you've gotten a notice from the IRS?
Definitely, if you've gotten a notice, the first thing to do is pay attention to the deadlines that might be on those notices. The IRS, they're easy to deal with if you're dealing within their timelines, and a lot of these notices will come automatically based on information that's been reported to them, what they find on your return, and if they think you've left something off, then they will send you a notice and give you a certain amount of time to respond. But if you're not responding during that time, you may be losing out on some ability to appeal.
And they don't like being ignored.
Correct.
Yeah. I was going to ask you very quickly before letting you go here, you receive things from people as well who need help with taxes. By the time it gets to you, is there a common error that stands out to you that a lot of people make that you think, oh, if I could just put out the word to people and get this error alleviated? Is there something that stands out?
Yeah, some things people are not thinking of this time of year. A lot of people are in HSA plans, and HSA
Health
plans,
savings account.
health savings accounts, they will have their own tax forms. So if you're making contributions into an HSA or taking money out to pay medical expenses, make sure that your tax preparer is getting those documents, or if you're doing it yourself, that you're including those.
Very good idea. And sometimes that one arrives like after you've already kind of started hashing it out, and you think, maybe that doesn't need to go in there. Have a look at that, incorporate that too. Donovan Miller, certified public accountant and senior tax manager at Whitley Penn. Thanks for taking the time this afternoon. Hopefully that has alleviated some of the issues that people out there are facing.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We may have to have you back before this is all said and done. Got a couple of months of this.